This deep dive, this one's tough.
Yeah.
It's about a 6-year-old boy in Chicago,
All right.
Karter Crain,
Mm-hmm.
and his mom, Shaneka's fight to protect him from what they say was abuse at his elementary school.
Oh, wow.
It's a story about a mother's love,
Yeah.
but it also raises questions about how the system protects vulnerable kids, you know?
Especially in those really crucial early years
Exactly.
of education.
Yeah.
What gets me is how this case,
Yeah.
tragic as it is, for them personally,
Right.
might actually show us bigger problems
Yeah.
in the system that should be protecting these children.
And especially, like you said, in
Yeah.
challenging environments.
Exactly.
So
Okay.
we're going to be focusing on Robert Nathaniel, Dett Elementary.
Okay.
But as we learn more,
Yeah.
you'll see that the data suggests this is maybe more than just one isolated thing.
Right.
And just for context,
Yeah.
Dett Elementary is ranked as one of the lowest performing schools in Illinois. And a lot of the student body is facing poverty and homelessness.
It's really...
And it makes you think, do those factors contribute to making it a place where there's not a lot of safety and trust?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
And it's something that that we should look into for sure as we go along.
So let's start with what happened to Karter.
Okay.
He started kindergarten at Dett in 2022,
Okay.
and Karter has what are called behavioral and developmental delays.
Okay.
So basically,
Yeah.
it means he learns and processes things differently than other kids his age might.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, almost as soon as he started school,
Uh-oh.
his mom, Shaneka, found a bite mark on his hand.
Oh, my gosh.
And she says that the school never even told her about it.
Really?
Never mind, filed a report.
Wow. Think
Oh.
about that.
Right.
Like if a school isn't taking care of something like a bite,
Right.
what else are they missing?
Yeah.
And for a child who has developmental delays,
Yeah.
to even tell what happened,
Yeah.
it's hard enough.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And it just got worse from there.
Oh, no.
Karter started coming home with bruises.
Oh, gosh.
And then in March of 2023, he told his mom that 2 of his teachers had hit him.
Oh, wow.
He even said, and this is a quote, "Mrs. Redacted popped me in my head, and Mrs. Redacted popped me with the marker in my head, too."
That's chilling to hear a child say that.
Mm-hmm.
Just underscores how important it is to really listen to children.
Yeah,
Especially the ones who might have a hard time expressing themselves.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Shaneka,
Yeah.
amazing mom that she is,
Mm-hmm.
didn't hesitate.
Right.
She filed a police report, got Karter into therapy to help him deal with what happened,
Yeah.
and filed a complaint with the Illinois Department of Child and Family Services.
Right.
That's DCFS.
Right.
And they're the ones who investigate abuse and neglect.
Yeah.
So,
That's the right step, reaching
Yeah.
out to another agency
right.
for help.
Yeah,
But then you have to wonder, what's the school doing?
right.
Do they even have ways to deal with this?
Right.
Are the staff trained well enough?
Yeah.
And what about just the culture of the school?
Right.
Do they encourage being open and honest?
Yeah.
Or do they silence people who are concerned?
And that's a big part of what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah.
But here's where things get even worse.
Okay.
After she filed that DCFS complaint,
Yeah.
someone filed an anonymous complaint against Shaneka.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
That just adds a whole other layer. It sounds like they're retaliating
Right.
against a parent trying to protect her kid.
Yeah.
And that can scare other people from coming forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So both of those complaints were eventually dismissed.
Right.
But it really makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
And this also brings up some broader concerns about Dett Elementary.
Yeah.
We've got data from this survey called My Voice, My School,
Right.
and it's not good.
Oh.
1 in 5 students said they don't feel safe with their teachers.
Wow.
57% said they don't trust their teachers.
Wow.
And get this, almost a third of the teachers said they don't trust each other.
Those are terrible numbers.
Yeah,
It sounds like something's really wrong.
it really does.
There's no trust there at all.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
how can anyone learn in a place like that?
Right. And we haven't even considered the fact that this is a school that's already struggling.
Right.
They're not doing well academically.
Right.
And there are so many kids there who are facing poverty and homelessness.
Yeah, and that's actually what we're going to pick up on in the next part.
Okay.
We'll look into if those things could be connected to what happened to Karter and the overall lack of trust at Dett.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
So picking up from where we left off,
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that Shaneka was able to
Yeah.
navigate a system
Mm-hmm.
that can be so hard to deal with,
It really can.
especially in a situation like this.
Right, and she's trying to advocate for
Yeah.
her son who has developmental delays
Exactly.
and who maybe couldn't even really explain what was happening.
That's a huge thing, right?
Just.
Kids with these delays often have a really tough time communicating
Yeah,
and advocating for themselves
for sure.
and for parents.
Yeah,
It can be incredibly frustrating
it really can.
trying to make sure their kids' needs are met,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a system that might not even really understand those needs.
Yeah. And in this case,
Yeah,
it's a school that's already struggling in a lot of ways.
right.
Dett is ranked in the bottom 5% of schools in the entire state.
Wow.
And I wonder, could that be connected to all the poverty and homelessness among the
Mhm.
students?
Mm-hmm.
Are there even enough resources to help these kids?
Right.
Or are the teachers just completely overwhelmed?
That's a hard question,
Yeah,
and there's no easy answer.
right.
But we do know that there's a connection
Yeah,
between socioeconomic factors
right,
and how well kids do in school.
for sure.
Schools with lots of poverty often face a lot of challenges.
Like what?
Not enough money,
Mm.
not enough teachers, and too many kids in each class.
Yeah.
And all of that just makes it harder for kids to succeed.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, if teachers are already stretched so thin
Yeah.
and there just aren't enough resources, how are they supposed to give a kid like Karter
Right.
the individual attention and support he might need?
That's where things can go wrong,
Yeah.
especially when you add in all that distrust
Yeah.
that we saw in the survey data.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good situation.
And it's not just about physical resources either, right? It's also about the whole atmosphere of the school.
The emotional and social environment.
Exactly.
And when teachers don't trust each other
Right?
and students don't trust teachers,
Yeah.
it creates this environment where people are afraid to speak up.
Yeah, they just stay silent.
Exactly.
And it makes sense that a parent like Shaneka would feel like she's not getting anywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you imagine trying to stand up for your child
Yeah.
when the people you're supposed to be working with
Right.
don't trust you
Yeah. Or just don't care.
or don't believe you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So sad as it is,
Yeah.
Shaneka didn't give up.
Good for her.
She kept trying to get answers and make things better.
That's so important.
It's persistent.
It's a good reminder
Yeah.
that even when things seem impossible,
Mm-hmm.
people can make a difference
Absolutely.
just by speaking up.
So she asked for meetings with school officials and the teachers who allegedly hurt Karter.
Okay.
But she says those requests were ignored at first.
That's something we hear a lot.
Is it?
Yeah, parents trying to advocate for their kids, especially when it comes to abuse.
Yeah.
People don't want to admit there's a problem.
Right.
They don't investigate properly,
Yeah.
and they don't do anything to really fix it.
And when the system's already stretched thin,
Yeah.
like we talked about,
Exactly.
things slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
So it's got to be so frustrating
Oh, absolutely.
for a parent who's already feeling powerless.
Especially for them.
Yeah.
To be ignored like that.
Yeah, to be told your concerns don't matter.
It's just terrible.
So she did eventually meet with school officials
Okay.
at the end of that school year.
Yeah.
But nothing was resolved.
Oh, come on. What does it take to
Seriously.
get someone to listen?
Yeah, what does it take to change things?
It's really frustrating.
You can just hear Shaneka's frustration
Yeah.
in her own words.
What'd she say?
She said, nobody's listening. Nobody's hearing me. Nobody cares.
Oof, that's tough to hear.
Yeah, to be told your concerns aren't valid,
Yeah.
especially by the people who are supposed to be protecting your child.
It's really damaging.
It really is.
It makes you think
Yeah.
about how we can change this system.
Yeah, how do we make it more responsive
Yeah.
to parents' concerns?
Yeah.
How do we make sure their voices are heard
Absolutely.
and respected?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where does this leave Karter and Shaneka?
Well, the good news is that Karter was able to switch schools
Okay.
for the next year. That's a step in the right direction.
But even the new school has problems.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it shows you how deep these issues run.
Yeah, there's no easy fix here.
No.
To fix the inequalities in our schools,
Mm.
we need to invest in resources,
Yeah.
support teachers,
Mm-hmm.
and empower communities.
And that takes time.
It does.
But even with everything they've been through,
Yeah,
Shaneka's still fighting.
that's great.
Yeah, she's not staying silent.
It's inspiring to see that.
It is.
It's a reminder that even when it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
we have to keep advocating for what's right.
So her story
Hmm.
and the stories of so many other parents,
Yeah.
they raise this really big question.
What's that?
How do we make it easier for parents to speak up,
That's a good question.
to be heard,
Hmm.
and to see real change happen?
That's something we'll dig into more
Yeah.
in the next part of our deep dive.
Exactly. We'll talk about some possible solutions.
Okay.
And look at what can be done at the school level,
Yeah.
the district level,
Mm-hmm.
and even the state level.
Sounds good.
But before we move on,
Yeah.
we have to talk more about that allegation of retaliation against Shaneka.
Yes, that's really important.
Someone filed a DCFS complaint against her
Right after she reported the abuse.
after she reported the abuse.
That's messed up.
It really is.
It makes it seem like the system is more interested in protecting itself
Right.
than actually helping kids.
And it could scare other parents from coming forward.
For sure. They might be afraid of the same thing happening to them.
Exactly. They don't want to be punished for speaking up.
And that creates this environment of fear where people are afraid to say anything,
Yeah.
which is dangerous for everyone,
Especially the kids.
especially for them.
So what can we do to protect people who speak up?
Yeah, how do we make sure they're not punished for doing the right thing?
That's a tough one.
It is. But we have to figure it out.
We did.
Some things we could try.
Yeah.
Making it really clear how to report concerns. Keeping everything confidential.
Okay.
And having strong rules against retaliation.
And it's not just about rules.
No, it's about changing how people think.
Right.
Making sure that schools value honesty.
Yeah.
And that parents are seen as partners
Exactly. Working together.
to create safe and supportive schools for all kids.
So we need to move away from this culture of silence
Yeah.
and towards a culture where people feel brave enough to speak up.
Exactly, a culture of courage.
I like that.
So that's
Yeah.
where we'll pick things up.
In the last part of our deep dive,
Sounds good?
we'll talk more about solutions
Okay.
and what we can all do to make a difference.
I'm ready.
We've been through a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
A young boy's story, a mother's fight, and a school dealing with so many problems.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
But now I think we need to talk about what we can do.
Solutions.
Yeah, how do we stop something like what happened to Karter from happening again?
It can feel impossible, right?
It can.
Like, where do you even start?
Yeah, these problems are so big.
They are.
But even small changes
Yeah.
can make a difference.
Exactly like a ripple effect.
I like that.
So we got to think on different levels.
Okay.
What can the schools do?
Yeah.
What about the district or the state?
Mm-hmm.
And what can parents and communities do?
Okay, let's start with schools.
Okay.
What can they actually do to make things safer for kids?
Well, the first thing
Yeah.
is having clear rules about reporting abuse
Okay.
and investigating it properly.
Yeah.
Those rules need to be easy for everyone to understand.
Everyone.
Students, parents, teachers, everyone.
Okay.
And it can't just be words on paper.
Right.
They have to actually follow those rules.
Makes sense.
And those investigations,
Yeah.
they need to be done by someone who's not connected to the school.
Right. So there's no bias.
Exactly.
Okay.
You need transparency and accountability.
Yeah.
Schools also need to train everyone
Train them on what?
on how to spot abuse,
Okay.
how to react to it,
Mm-hmm.
and how to create a classroom where everyone respects each other.
So giving teachers the tools to protect their students.
Exactly.
But what about when the problems are bigger than just one classroom?
Right, like when it's the whole school or even the whole district,
Yeah. Then what?
that's when it gets really tough.
Yeah.
And we need to look at solutions on a bigger scale.
Okay.
Things like not enough money, teacher shortages, and poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Those things need everyone to work together.
Like who?
People who make policies, community leaders, people who are fighting for change.
It really does take a village.
It does.
So what could those people actually do?
Well, for one thing,
Yeah.
make sure all schools have enough money for good teachers, counselors, and support staff.
Okay.
We might have to change how schools get money
Right.
so that the schools in poor areas get what they need.
That makes sense.
And we got to do something about the teacher shortage.
Yeah, we hear about that all the time,
It's a big problem.
especially in the schools that need the most help.
Hey.
Exactly. We need to make teaching a better job.
Wow.
Pay them more. Give them chances to learn new things and make sure they have support.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of teachers are burning out.
It's true.
They need help.
They do.
So it sounds like a lot of this comes down to resources.
Yeah, money and people.
But what about parents and communities?
They have a big role to play, too.
What can they do?
Parents are powerful advocates.
Yeah.
They can go to school board meetings, speak up at community events, and work with organizations that are trying to improve schools.
And they can support each other too, right?
Absolutely. Share information and help each other out.
It's not just about complaining, though.
No, it's about being part of the solution.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, they can volunteer in classrooms, mentor students, and fight for policies that help kids.
Yeah.
They can also try to make schools more welcoming.
More welcoming.
Yeah, for all families.
It's about everyone working together.
Exactly, to build the schools we want for our kids.
And speaking of working together,
Yeah. We need to remember what happened to Shaneka.
that retaliation.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
We need to make sure that people who speak up
Yeah.
are protected.
How do we do that?
Well, there needs to be a clear way to report problems.
Okay.
And people need to know that what they say will be kept secret.
Confidential.
Right. And there have to be rules against punishing people for speaking up.
So it's about creating a culture
Yeah,
where people feel safe to tell the truth.
exactly. Even if it's hard.
Wow. This deep dive has been a journey.
It really has.
We've seen some tough things
Yeah.
and talked about some really complicated problems.
But we also talked about solutions.
You did.
And that's important.
It is.
Because it can feel really discouraging to see how
Yeah.
messed up things are.
Yeah, but we can't give up
No, we can't.
Shaneka's story.
You
And
know?
all the other parents and advocates out there.
They're fighting hard.
They are.
And they remind us that even small things can make a difference.
So what can we do?
We can all do something. Speak up at a meeting, volunteer at a school,
Mm-hmm.
or just talk to your friends and family about these issues.
Keep the conversation going.
Exactly. Because every child deserves a good education.
A safe education.
Yes, and a fair one.
This deep dive is just the beginning.
It is.
Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep fighting for a better future for all kids.
Because we can make a difference.
Thank you for joining us.